I love Star Jump and the Star Jump team. I wish Starlet was here to see this. She went to bed a little bit early. But it's from Star Jump here. Our good friend to Games did a review of my Endeavor episode of ShipYard and had such nice things to say. I've always really appreciated his support in all of our projects. Thanks, DG. DG, and then he links to this reaction video we'd done to the Endeavor, which is one of my favorite ships. And another one that I noticed that was on his channel that we're going to watch today is the KRAKEN. Now, don't get me started about it. I love the KRAKEN. When it first came out, I was like, oh, this is too expensive. Don't buy it. And the more I started to learn about the ship, I was like, all right, never mind. It's Drake. What am I thinking? So let's watch and let's see what Star Jump has to say here with the KRAKEN.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the newest Star Jump show we call the ShipYard.
And I love this new
series.
This is a
show where we're going to take a look at a particular ship, discuss what is known about it, and try to give you an unbiased assessment on where that ship fits within the verse. We will look at its pros and cons, and hopefully leave you with the most up-to-date information on what may be your next ship. In our first episode, we'll be taking a look at the Drake Interplanetary KRAKEN and its marketplace gameplay variant, the Privateer.
I remember when he made this cinematic. He had a couple thousand subscribers. We helped him grow. He's over 10,000. Good job, DG Army.
The KRAKEN was first mentioned in the December 2017 You Pick the Next Drake Ship vote. It came in second with 37% of the votes cast, and it went up against what would become known as the Drake Vulture and Drake Corsair. Now, concept development was primarily handled by Paul Jones and Gavin Rothery, as well as other artists that helped out in smaller ways.
Paul's gone
the
now.
ship went through quite a few different permutations during its early concept development work. As you can see in these concept images, the ship went through several different designs before eventually landing on one with a strong similarity to that of a traditional aircraft carrier. With a large primary deck capable of carrying two medium-sized ships, and possibly larger ships depending on the arrangement. There are also 4 additional extra small decks on the starboard side and 2 internal extra small hangars just below those starboard decks. We'll circle back down to this layout in just a bit. Now, with the concept exploration phase out of the way, let's take a look at what was eventually revealed to the citizens. The KRAKEN was officially unveiled to the public at the 2948 CitizenCon along with the Anvil Valkyrie. CitizenCon in-person attendees were greeted by a massive physical model of the KRAKEN, created especially for its unveiling by the talented team over at JR Design and Fabrications.
Wow.
The Drake mantra when referring to the KRAKEN is defending freedom and power to the people. The story behind the KRAKEN begins with Andon Arden, Drake's new CEO. Andon Arden wanted to lead Drake away.
First off, James, this is a really good question. James says, DG, if you were on a ship like that, what would you do to help the team? First off, I'd make sure there was a big supply of Widow. And we'd have ourselves a party. I would be the party master. And, you know, we'd get things started. We'd have a great night. Hopefully we don't get attacked that particular evening. And if we did get attacked, don't blame me. Don't blame me.
Away from the controversy of the past and into a future where the Drake name became synonymous with protecting the people. The KRAKEN is envisioned as a mobile armored fortress that is completely self-sufficient, able to confidently protect the hard-working citizens of the verse, as well as give even the largest orgs a base to operate from. Researching the needs of the people, that's Drake's approach with the KRAKEN, and it's anchored in its adaptability. This represents the diversity of the Empire itself. The KRAKEN is classified as a light attack carrier and falls within a class of ships known as capital ships.
Yep.
And with over 3,792 SCU, the KRAKEN can definitely be considered a heavy lifter, and one of the few capital ships capable of offsetting its own upkeep costs through commercial trade and transport. In addition, the KRAKEN is considered to be a kind of mobile headquarters, bringing with it repair, rearm, and refueling capabilities. With its 6 external landing pads and 2 internal hangars, the KRAKEN supports a wide variety of ships.
By the way, he models a lot of this himself. So if you want actual, if you need the schematics and you want to make sure it's to the meter, he's precise. Star Jump is so meticulous about this. It is crazy. This is the best series out. He needs to start doing more of this. The Endeavor one we watched last week was superb. It was awesome. So I'm totally digging it.
The Kraken also hosts a unique Dragonfly launching bay that can support up to 4 Dragonflies and possibly more. We'll get into more of the Kraken's internal layout with the cutaway that CIG provided in its original reveal. Okay, so with any ship still in the concept phase, it's important to remember these are just the currently announced specs
on any ship,
and that these are subject to change as the ship continues to move through the production timeline. First, let's get the Kraken's dimensions out of the way.
Bet.
The ship comes in with an overall beam of 104 meters, a height of 64 meters, and a length of 270 meters. Making it one of the largest player-ownable ships in Star Citizen.
Yeah.
The flight deck consists of the 2 medium-sized pads.
Oh, yeah.
4 starboard extra small pads.
And then hangars in the side.
And, of course,
on the
2 starboard side internal hangars.
Nice, dude. That is amazing. That is such a cool design.
Internally, the Kraken is equipped with 6 capital computers, 2 capital life support systems, 2 capital power plants, 2 capital shield generators, and is listed to have medium armor.
I'll take 2. I will take 2.
Keep in mind that all of those stats just listed can and probably will change to some degree once the ship goes into active development. The Kraken supports a minimum crew of 10. However, to optimally cover all the Kraken's turrets, bridge positions, engineering, and mechanic positions, as well as radar and scanning, etc., the Kraken could command up to 15 or more crew members to operate at peak efficiency. From an armament standpoint, the Drake Kraken is no slouch, sporting 1 size 8 man turret on the nose, 4 size 6 turrets spread out over the ship, and finally 4 size 5 remote turrets. The Kraken is
and a partridge in a pear tree,
able to lay down a significant amount of firepower in almost any direction. Combine this with whatever combat support ships the Kraken happens to be carrying at that time, and you have a capital ship that provides an extreme challenge to any would-be adversary. In order to get such a monster to move, the Kraken is equipped with 8 capital main thrusters, 6 capital VTOL thrusters, 2 capital retro thrusters, and 12 capital maneuvering thrusters. While the VTOL thrusters allow the Kraken to land planet-side, its atmospheric flight performance can be described as poor at best.
Yeah,
when landing such a large ship, it's best to plan ahead and deploy a scout ship to the surface first in order to seek out a suitable landing zone for the Kraken's captain to target. Okay, let's take a look inside the Kraken to get a better understanding of the ship's currently concepted layout. Please keep in mind that this ship has an absolutely massive amount of internal space, and there are some rooms that CIG plans to implement that are not currently shown on this cutaway. One of those rooms, for example, is a medical bay, which was mentioned by John Crew as something that will most likely be added to the ship. Starting from the front, we see the huge size 8 man turret, as well as the top and bottom forward size 6 man turrets. These 3 turrets comprise the Kraken's front defensive armament. You will also find one of the 2 capital-sized shield generators in the corridor of the bottom size 6 turret. In addition to a myriad of long corridors connecting the front of the ship to the back, you'll see the entry points for the 4 small starboard side pads that then lead down to their corresponding habs that the crews of those ships can use for temporary residence while on board the Kraken. Cargo elevators for all 6 flight pads lead directly down to a middle corridor that hosts what has been termed sort of an air car that will allow the transport of personnel and cargo directly from the primary cargo hold to their respective pads or vice versa.
Of this ship.
The air car can carry up to 4 people and 12 SCU of cargo. Not seen in this cross section are the 2 internal hangars that are accessed from the starboard side of the ship. A bit further down, as we near the primary control tower of the Kraken, you'll see the 2 habs that are for the crew of the ships parked on the port side primary flight deck. Now we have reached the bulk of the interior space within the Kraken. Starting from the top and working our way down, we come across the bridge. The Kraken bridge is a 2-level bridge with at least 5 and possibly more stations for crew. One of these stations is dedicated to the captain's seat. Directly behind the bridge is a small connecting room that leads to a planning room. This room is where movement planning, scanning, etc. will take place. Sitting just behind the planning room is a room with no currently assigned role. This could be where a medical suite could be added, for example. Behind that room is the access point to the top-mounted size 6 man turret. Okay, let's go down one more level starting from the front. We have a stairway that leads from the bridge area down to the break room, and then further down to the...
See, I love how Star Jump just basically says it like it is, and he breaks it down so you know exactly where everything's at. You navigate the ship. The schematics are fantastic. I love how he does this. The presentation of the video, very well done, very well edited. Such a great series, such an underrated great series.
Kraken's exterior exit to the primary deck. This is the entry point where someone landing on the large primary flight deck could quickly be able to come up into the Kraken's main tower and take the stairwell up to the bridge or crew room, etc. You can expect this door would be heavily defended in the event of a boarding party attempting to make a hostile entry into the Kraken's interior. Now, directly behind the stairwell is the break room. You can expect a decent-sized kitchen, tables, as well as restroom and other facilities.
That's our room.
Further back from the break room, you'll find the crew rooms, which would house the Kraken's crew beds and lockers, etc. Moving a bit further back, we find the captain's quarters. With the amount of room the Kraken has, there could even be an opportunity to add, say, an XO quarters or something like that. Going another level down, we reach the massive internal fuel storage tanks of the Kraken. These are the tanks that ships refueling on the deck of the Kraken would be pulling from. Moving further back, you reach a long corridor that could be repurposed to be a more functional and more purposeful room, perhaps the medical bay, etc. This then leads to a large elevator that...
I like where the fuel reserves are kept, like in the center of this particular beautiful ship. You know, I do like that they kind of didn't put it towards a corner or in the aft or towards the bow. You know, like this, it's really good placement. It's a really good design.
Covers the access points from the fuel storage deck up to the Dragonfly Bay. Okay, let's talk about the Dragonfly Bay. This Dragonfly Bay looks to be able to easily fit 4 Dragonflies and possibly more. The room hosts a unique system for launching and retrieving Dragonflies through the Kraken's sunroof type opening.
That's
There was
awesome.
some mention in the literature that the room could be modified for other purposes. We'll need to see what comes of that, but this room would make for a great modular room based off its size and exterior access point. Going down another level, we find Cargo 2. This is the large primary cargo hold of the Kraken. With 3,902 SCU, the Kraken is able to hold an absolute massive amount of cargo. Enough to help offset the cost of operating such a big ship. The cargo area has direct access to the air car.
Elsie, behave.
It can then easily transfer cargo from the hold to the waiting ships or vice versa. Back a bit further from the Cargo 2 area, you have access points for the port and starboard side manned turrets. These are size 4 dual turrets. Further back, we reach the cavernous main engineering area. From the concept art, it looks to host several user stations for work to be done
the engineering room.
And with the Kraken's massive size and long corridors, any engineering team is going to need a few mechanics that can be dispatched to different parts of the ship to handle mechanical issues that arise. Last but not least, we reach Cargo 1.
I hear somebody upstairs.
This cargo is part of the primary SCU grid, but looks to be more easily positioned to be placed on the large drop-down freight elevator that goes to the ground level. This is where you would move cargo that you were planning to remove at your next stop for easy offloading. This comprises the current concepted layout for the Drake Kraken. With room to spare, you can bet some new rooms will be added in the production phase, as well as various changes to this layout. This could include things like a medical bay, XO quarters, brig, repair bay, etc. Now let's discuss the Drake Kraken Privateer, the traveling marketplace variant of the Kraken that was announced in 2019. The Privateer internal changes are quite a departure in terms of the ship's layout and offerings. The primary difference with the Privateer is that it sacrifices a large majority of the base variant's cargo capacity in order to outfit the ship with 8 separate stores featuring 189 SCU each of merchandise. In addition to the 8 public stores, there are 2 additional private or black market stores with an additional 189 SCU each of merchandise. However, the addition of these marketplace stores brings the Privateer's total cargo capacity down from 768 SCU from the 3,792 SCU of the base Kraken variant. An important thing to note regarding both variants of the Kraken is that the player will be able to switch between the 2 variants through a prolonged dry docking of the ship at a capital ShipYard or Cousin Crow's. It's important to note, however, that this conversion will likely be time-consuming and rather expensive, so it won't be something you'll be doing every day. The Kraken's primary role is that of a light attack carrier. Its job is to transport ships and supplies to far-off destinations, while at the same time being mostly self-sufficient and able to defend itself with a multitude of turrets at its disposal. With its numerous HABs, cargo space, refuel, repair, rearm capabilities, the Kraken is well suited to act as your org's mobile HQ. With the Kraken being such a high-value asset in any org, and its primary role being that of carrier, it's not the ship you want to be leading the charge into battle. In combat, staying towards the rear will maximize the Kraken's support capabilities and survivability, and allow you to keep the rest of your org's fleet primed and ready for the frontline combat. However, we really need to discuss the flexibility of the Kraken. This flexibility is really one of its primary selling points above other capital ships. The Kraken is set up to perfectly support everything from combat to heavy industrial support roles. You could easily use the Kraken to act as a way station for your org's fleet of salvage ships. You could operate 8 to 10 Vultures easily via the Kraken's primary and secondary flight decks, with RMC being offloaded from the Vultures and put into the Kraken's massive cargo bay. Or you could offload the Vultures from the Kraken's 4 starboard side pads onto a waiting Caterpillar that's parked on the larger deck. Because remember, if it fits, it sits, and the Caterpillar will actually fit with some creative landing angles. The Kraken could also support mining and commercial shipping operations in much the same way. It could both act as a final destination for prospectors and expanses, or it could act as a way station to transfer those goods to waiting cargo ships. The Kraken is able to support combat missions with its ability to host a wide variety of combat ships on its unique deck configuration. Imagine a Kraken with 2 Eclipses and 4 Buccaneers on its top deck, and you begin to see the lethality that the Kraken is able to support. With all that flexibility, it's sometimes easy to forget that the Kraken can be converted in dry dock to its other configuration, which is that of the Aforementioned Privateer. This brings a whole new earning system to the Kraken owner in the form of merchant gameplay. Merchant gameplay may, depending on the direction CIG takes with it, become a great passive gameplay loop that allows Kraken owners to pay for what will probably be massive upkeep, fuel, and maintenance costs associated with such a large capital ship. Ultimately, the Kraken is unique in its ability to adjust its role and usage to fit the player better than pretty much any other capital-sized ship. This could be considered a value add, especially because, whether you purchase in-game or pledge for it with real money, the Kraken's features don't lock you into a specific type of gameplay loop. And finally, if a capital ship could ever be considered more of a daily driver than others, the Kraken would be that ship. Okay. Let's talk about the issues with the ship in its current concepted state. Now, there's a lot we still don't know about the Kraken. There is also some tech elements that we need in development or in-game before the ship can go through production and into a flight-ready state. Let's break down some of these issues and talk about the possible solutions. One of the Kraken's best features is also one of its most problematic, the open flight deck. While the Idris is hampered by the fact that its ships can't get around one another in the hangar bay because of the very limited area, and for the fact that they will need to both take off and land in an orderly fashion, this is something that Idris owners will need to think about if they look at their Idris specifically for its carrier capabilities. The Kraken avoids all this with an open flight deck concept. Ships can land and take off whenever they need to and pretty much from any direction. This instantly makes the Kraken the superior carrier. And while yes, the Kraken's deck is not enclosed like the Idris, ideally the Kraken should be deploying its ships just outside the combat zone. However, this open flight deck also creates an inviting target to would-be trolls in the verse. People just landing on the Kraken whenever they feel like it could cause some serious issues with the ship and its operations in crowded areas. What is required is tech that allows us to turn gravity on and off throughout the different flight deck pads. Now, we know through resource management demos and the fact that ships actually use grav plating that this sort of control via a console on the Kraken should be doable. However, we have not heard anything from CIG regarding deck grav plating control. Let's hope this is addressed, as this would create an interesting role in the Kraken in that of a sort of deck controller operator mode. Now for issue number 2, and this is an issue prevalent on all large to capital-sized ships: permission and security controls. Ships like the Kraken, with its numerous entry points, really need robust security controls on all of its doors that can be controlled via a master console on the bridge. Currently, the Kraken has 2 docking collars, 5 deck-side entry points, 2 hangar doors, and an underneath elevator that can all be used to gain access to the ship's interior. So having a very high-level view of all these access points and their current security setting will be critical to help securing these massive vessels. Okay, now let's discuss something that again is
I'm going to need to timestamp this video. I'm missing my favorite ship here. My mother stopped by, and she was very nice. And she's like, hey, DG, I just thought you might like to take these up to Christy. And she got like salmon and different various grocery items. And it was very nice of her to do that. And I was like, geez, Mom, thank you. But I'm also streaming, and it's extremely loud upstairs. And all the noise is coming down. So see, I ended up being like that guy off of the video we watched called Balin's Route from VLDL. And I ended up being like that douchey guy at the very beginning talking to the NPC characters that we didn't like to my own mother. And so I had to tell her, like, Mother, I love you. I am streaming. I love you. Thank you so much. And see, she, right, I was a total douchebag. I'm going to boo myself right now. I was trying to be the nicest douchebag possible, but I was still a douchebag. Mama Games, she didn't know what to do. She was thinking that she was a nuisance, and I don't want her to think that way. You understand? I understand I'm interrupting. I understand I'm interrupting this amazingness. This is the morning stream, and I need to have a talk with my audience here to let them know why I wasn't appearing in this and commenting in this. And ironically, we have a lot more viewers. Could I give myself a shame as well? Yes, I'm going to shame myself too.
Shame. Shame.
I am back now.
Shame.
I will timestamp the video for when I come back, which nobody will care about. But my mother is a professional Catholic guilt, and it's a passive-aggressive guilt. Catholic guilt is a very effective guilt. Very much more dangerous than the Kraken. Catholic guilt. Whew, you gotta step back. You gotta take a breath.
is one of the Kraken's biggest strengths, but could also be a real liability.
She's fine. Everything's
its ability
cool,
to land planets.
Currently,
we have seen how big ships such as a Starfarer behave in atmosphere. They are expectedly slow and arduous to get to and from the ground safely.
It's not easy.
Now, exponentially scale that up to a ship the size of the Kraken, and you have a very real challenge when it comes to both landing and taking off from the surface of a planet. We know the Kraken has 6 capital-sized VTOLs, but we have yet to...
Listen, I just love that we literally lost 7 people while I started talking, and I would like to say hallelujah, amen. Can I get an amen for those people that left? Yes, they're not here for us. They're not here for this community. They're not here for you or me. They're just here for the cheap thrills. They're going to go off and they're going to find another stream, and they're never going to be satisfied. They'll never be satiated. They'll always be hungry. They'll always be walking around Twitch's stream looking for something. And it's right here. It's all right here. They missed it. They literally walked in paradise through one door and they exited out the other one.
Shame.
Yeah. I mean, these talks are what DG360 is all about. I mean, like, really, if you're here, you're here for this. You're here for all of this, right? This is the secret stuff right now.
See how these will fare in lifting the Kraken off the ground. Will we need the help of SRVs? And if so, does that mean having an SRV always attached to the Kraken will be an absolute requirement? Only time will tell on that. In conclusion, the Kraken really stands alone in regards to its role as a...
I fucking missed it all. I missed all of this. I'm so upset with myself. In conclusion, I just started watching this, for God's sake.
True mobile headquarters.
Damn it.
Its flexibility allows it to be easily adapted to many different types of org and fleet gameplay. Its ability to support military operations, industrial, as well as commercial
Elvis is on
gameplay
fire
loops is
today.
something that should appeal to anyone who doesn't subscribe to just one playstyle. While the Kraken has a rather large concept phase pledge price, the ship is really several different types of ships rolled into one. For those who don't have the opportunity to pledge for this monster, the Kraken makes the perfect earning game end goal for a player or an organization.
How much was
We
this?
don't yet know when the Kraken will go into active development,
I
and
forget.
there remains
I forget
concerns
DEF CON.
about what
It was
kind,
pricey.
if any, sort of desire CIG has to put ships that are hull limited into active development. But with the entire line of Drake ships now flyable, there are plenty
I
of parts
missed
and
it.
pieces
You guys call me
in
names
the
when I left.
design and asset library ready to use in
Yeah,
the
the
Kraken's
privateer was
interior
25
build-out.
was it
The
2,500?
Kraken,
Thank
along
you,
with the
dude.
Liberator and other ships capable of carrying smaller ships, would be a perfect vessel to have in the verse, especially as we start to ferry multiple ships across larger and larger systems. The Kraken and its privateer variant are usually sold in hull limited waves during the Invictus and IAE events each year. Usually the store credit versions of these ships sell out instantly. However, the past couple events have seen the Warbond versions last long enough that your chances of snagging one are pretty good. Alright, that's going to be it for this first episode of Star Jump Shipyard. I hope you all enjoyed this look
God
at all
bless
we
it.
know about the Drake Kraken.
Oh.
Shame. Shame. Shame.
I just sat down. All right. Well, apparently you guys got to see a cool video. I will link this in the YouTube link down below in the description when this hits as a highlight. And then you guys can laugh at me. And maybe I might even timestamp this because I'm sure there's going to be people watching. And they're like, when's DG coming back? You know, not those 6 people that left, by the way. You know, not those 6 people that left. They didn't care and they missed their opportunity at this thing we call Paradise DG360. Now, should it be time for a shout out? It absolutely should. Let's do it. DG360 Spotlight. This is from Misha Dark. Misha Dark says, you don't do it for my clicks or my clacks, but god damn it, I'm going to give you my click clacks anyway. Thank you so much. Misha. I appreciate you, and we all do. Thank you.